Good morning students. Welcome back to All Force e-learning classes. This is the first year intermediate civics class. We are in a 6th unit, that is rights and duties. In the last session we discussed about various types of duties. Duty means responsibility or an obligation of an individual towards others, society and state. Then duties are broadly divided into two categories. One is moral duty, another one is legal duty. What is meant by moral duties? The duties which are performed by the individuals based on ethical or moral principles are called as moral duties. They are not recognized by the state, they are not supported by the law, they are not protected by the courts. The violation of moral duties does not lead to punishment. Example, respecting the teachers, respecting the parents, respecting the elders, helping the poor. Second thing is legal duties. The duties which are supported by the law and recognized by the state are called as legal duties. These duties can be performed by the individuals based on law. Hence, these are recognized by state, these are enforced by the law, these are protected by the courts of law. The violation of these duties leads to punishment. The examples of these duties are obeying laws, payment of taxes to the government in time, respecting the constitution, national flag, national anthem, etc. Legal duties again divided into two categories: positive duties and negative duties. Positive duties means the duties which are performed by the citizens to strengthen the social progress and welfare of the society. Then negative duties. The duties which are prohibited by the law are called as negative duties. If an individual is abstained doing an activity which is prohibited by law, then it is called as a negative duty. Example, not to destroy the public property, not to commit theft and murder. So these are the important topics of last class. Today I am going to explain fundamental duties in the Indian Constitution. Fundamental duties. Fundamental duties in the Indian Constitution. In the Indian Constitution, or the fundamental duties of Indian citizens. Fundamental duties of the Indian citizens. Okay. Fundamental duties is one of the important feature of the Indian Constitution. Our Constitution came into force from 26 January 1950. But in the beginning, there was no part about fundamental duties in our Indian Constitution. And so, to include certain fundamental duties in our Indian Constitution, central government set up one committee under the chairmanship of Sardar Swarna Singh. Hence, it is popularly known as Sardar Swarna Singh Committee. Sardar Swarna Singh Committee. This committee suggested the central government to include certain fundamental duties in our Indian Constitution. And so, according to the report of the Sardar Swarna Singh Committee, central government introduced 10 fundamental duties in our Indian Constitution through 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. Through 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. Yes, according to the recommendations of Sardar Swarna Singh Committee, 10 fundamental duties were incorporated in our Indian Constitution through 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act in 1976. And in 2002, one more duty also included in our Indian Constitution, that is 11th fundamental duty. Through 11th fundamental duty, through 86th Constitutional Amendment Act, 86th Constitutional Amendment Act 2002. As altogether at present 11 fundamental duties are there in our Indian Constitution. These fundamental duties are under Article 51A of 4th A part of the Indian Constitution. 4th A part of the Indian Constitution. So these fundamental duties are under Article 51 of 4th A part of the Indian Constitution. So let us discuss the one by one fundamental duty. The first one is respecting the Indian Constitution, national flag and national anthem. Respecting the Indian Constitution, national flag and national anthem. National anthem is one thing. Then respect its means the Constitution, its institutions also. As institutions also, it is the first and foremost fundamental duty of every Indian, respecting the Indian Constitution. As Constitution, it is the highest law of the country. As it will provide rights and duties to us. Hence, it is the responsibility of every Indian citizen to respect our Constitution. Second, national flag and national anthem. These are the national symbols. Clear? Then we must respect constitutional institutions. So what are the constitutional institutions? Legislature, executive and judiciary. We must respect these institutions. They are meant for us. Hence, we must respect legislature, executive and judiciary also. Second, to cherish and follow the noble ideals. As what are the noble ideals here? Truth, non-violence, satyagraha. These are the important noble ideals. So which inspired the freedom movement. Yes. Hence we must respect and follow such type of noble ideals, because which inspired the national movement. Clear? With the inspiration of these noble ideals, yes, we achieved the independence. Hence we are enjoying various types of rights and performing various types of duties. It is another thing. Then to uphold and protect sovereignty, unity and national integrity. National integrity. Clear? To uphold and protect the sovereignty. First of all, sovereignty. So what is sovereignty? The sovereignty is the most important element of the state. So it is like a soul of the state. So without sovereignty there is no state. Yes, hence it is one of the most important fundamental duty of every Indian citizen to protect our sovereignty of the state. Then when it is possible, when there is a unity among the people. Yes, people must be united. The unity among the individuals leads to national integrity. Clear? And fourth one is to defend the country, and render national service when required. As national service required. Clear? So it is one more important duty of the Indian citizen to protect their country. As then render means we will give our services to the nation when required. So when it is required, during the period of war, during the period of external aggressions. Yes, due to the external aggressions and external wars, the sovereignty and the defense of the state is threatened. Okay, when the country is threatened through the external wars and attacks, as we must be ready to render our services to our country to protect our country from other countries. Clear? So it is another thing. Then to value and protect rich heritage of our compositive culture. Yes, it is one more important duty of the Indian citizens is we must value our culture. And one more thing is, our culture is what type of culture? Our culture is composite culture, rich heritage, composite culture. Our culture is the mixture of so many cultures. Yes, Indian culture is the greatest culture in the world. Hence, it is the duty of every Indian citizen to give value and protect it. That is another thing. Then to promote harmony, and fraternity amongst the Indians. So it is another one. As to promote harmony means to promote good relations among the Indian citizens, and to promote fraternity amongst the Indians. So fraternity means brotherhood amongst the Indian citizens. As when there is a fraternity among the individuals, it will promote the unity among the individuals. When there is unity among the people, it is very useful for the national integration. So it is one more important duty, that is to promote harmony and fraternity among the Indians. And one more thing is we must respect the dignity of the women also. Yes, we must to respect the dignity of the women also. Dignity of women also. That is another thing. Then next, to protect and promote, improve natural environment. as natural environment. Clear? And to have compassion on living creatures. As so it is one more important duty of the Indian citizen is to protect and improve the natural environment. So natural environment includes rivers, lakes, forests, mines, minerals. So especially forests, one thing, second rivers, third lakes, and fourth one is wildlife, means forest animals, because they are the wealth of a nation. Hence it is the responsibility of the citizens of India to protect our national wealth. Clear? And one more thing, we must have the compassion on living creature, means we must show our pity or kindness as towards living creatures like plants, animals. This is another thing. Then eighth one is to develop scientific temper, humanism and the spirit of inquiry and reforms. The spirit of inquiry and reforms. Clear? We must develop scientific awareness, because still we are following certain superstitions. Clear? In place of superstitions, it is very essential to develop scientific awareness. It is hence it's the duty of every Indian citizen to develop scientific awareness among the citizens. Then we must promote humanism. Yes, if you give respect to others, others will respect you. Then we must develop the spirit of inquiry and reforms. Reforms means bring changes. Yes, we must be ready to bring certain changes in the Indian society. It is another one. Then to safeguard the public property, and observe violence. At first we must give up our violence. Then we must protect our public property. Public property is nothing but the property of the government. Property of the government is nothing but the property of the people. Hence it is the duty of every Indian citizen to protect the public property from others. If anybody will destroy the public property, we must inform such incident to the government. By that we can protect our public property. Then to strive towards excellence in all spheres. Okay, all spheres of individual and collective. So collective, it means it is a responsibility of every individual to try hard for the excellence of the country, means for all round development of the country in all spheres, means in social, political and economic spheres, by individually or collectively. Yes, we must put our efforts for the development of the country in various spheres, either collectively or individually. And last one, so these first 10 fundamental duties included in our Indian Constitution through 42nd Constitution Amendment. They came into force from January 3rd 1977. These are the first and the last. Okay, through 86th Constitutional Amendment Act 2002, 11th fundamental duty was included in the Constitution. Clear? So that fundamental duty came into force from December 12th 2002. So what is the 11th duty? As to provide educational facilities, educational opportunities or educational facilities, as educational opportunities to all children between the age of 6 and 14. Okay, 6 and 14 years, 6 and 14 years, as by their parents or guardian, by their parents or guardian. So it is the one more important duty of the parents or guardian to provide educational facilities to their children. Clear? So it is about fundamental duties of the Indian citizens. Okay, with this topic, fundamental duties topic is over. And then next one is the relationship between rights and duties. The relationship between rights and duties. As a relationship between rights and duties. So in the last sessions we discussed so many things about rights and duties. So here rights and duties are very essential for all round development of the individuals. It is the first one. Yes, they are essential for as all round development of the as individuals. As without rights the individuals cannot enjoy their freedoms. Clear? So without duties they cannot perform certain responsibilities towards others. So without rights, without duties, the development of the individuals cannot be possible. And there is a close relationship between rights and duties. So that is what type of relationship? So complementary relationship between the rights and duties. Means without rights there are no duties, without duties there are no rights. Then these two are considered as a two sides of a same coin. Two sides of a same coin. Every coin has two sides. One is a head, another one is a tail. So without head or without tail, it is not considered as a coin. Hence, in the life of the individuals also, both are essential. Okay, rights are on one side, duties are on other side of the development of the individuals. Then, hence, rights imply duties, duties imply rights. Clear? Rights imply duties, duties imply rights. That is one other thing. Then we cannot separate the rights and duties. Yes, these two are inseparable. These two are inseparable. Clear? Yes, we cannot separate the rights and duties from each other. Yes, we cannot separate the rights from duties. In the same way, we cannot separate the duties from rights, because both will go hand in hand. That is the main reason. Then they are like these two are like a soul and body of the people. Body of the people. Yes, we cannot separate the soul from body, and we cannot separate the body from soul. So without body, without soul, there is no body. Yes, there is no life of the body. Hence, we cannot separate the soul from body. Hence here we cannot separate the rights from duties. In the same way, we cannot separate the duties from rights. That is the main reason. And they are always present together like a shadow and man. Yes, shadow and man. Clear? So these are always present together like shadow and man. So wherever you go, the shadow will come with you. Yes, is there any scope to separate the shadow from man? No. Yes, wherever you go, your shadow will come with you. Yes, and so we cannot separate the rights from duties. That is the one more reason. Then the rights and duties will make a man as a good citizen. Yes, now both will together, the rights and duties will together make a person or make an individual as a good citizen. Yes, make an individual as good citizen. Good citizen. It is one more advantage. Then both are essential for the social development of the society or social progress of the society. Here both rights and duties, because rights and duties both will create the good atmosphere for the social progress of the society. So without rights and without duties, there is no scope for good atmosphere for the development of the society. It is another thing. Then once right automatically will become duty and vice versa. Okay, so once right, so automatically becomes a duty of others and vice versa. Means our rights will become the duties of others. In the same way, others' rights will become duties of us. Clear? So that is one more relationship. Okay, then now we are enjoying what type of rights and what type of duties. As we are enjoying limited rights, so we are not enjoying unrestricted rights. We are enjoying only limited rights only. Okay, so if we will enjoy the unrestricted or unrestrained rights, so what will be happen? Okay, so unrestrained rights, unrestrained rights make the arrogant. As next, undisciplined. As undisciplined. Then violent. As violent. Okay, in the society with others. Yes, so we are enjoying only limited rights only, not unlimited rights. If we will have unlimited rights, means without any restrictions, so what will be happen? So unrestrained rights without duties make the individuals arrogant, undisciplined and violent. Clear? In the same way, so unlimited duties without rights, as without rights, so what will be happen? The people will become slave. And they are exploited by others. Here without rights means if you do not have any rights, what will be happen? As you cannot enjoy your freedoms. Then you will must do something under one person, means either owner. Okay, hence automatically you will be exploited when there are no rights. Clear? So another thing, and both are essential for peace, progress and harmony in the society. Clear? So rights and duties will establish the peace, progress and harmony in the society. Clear? And last one is it also brings discipline in the human behavior. Yes, they established what? Peace, progress and harmony. It is one thing. Second thing is they will bring discipline in the behavior of the human beings. That is human behavior. Clear? So with this, the relationship between rights and duties is over. So with this topic, 6th unit is completed. Okay students, we will see in the next session. Goodbye.